we have created all the pages that we needed to create. The next step right now is to fetch data from the cloud. So now we are going to implement Firestore, and to do that, let me first stop the application from running. And to do that, we are going to install Firestore in our application. And yeah, so let's start. Now there are different versions of Firestore, and because I'm using Angular 14, and so if I'm using Angular 14, the Firebase version that I have to install is Firebase 9.6, and then for Firestore I'll be installing 7.5.0. So this right here. So it depends on what version of Angular you have installed on your machine, but you definitely want to use the right version, otherwise it won't work. It will give you a headache. So let me install that. And to get the right version, of Firebase on Firestore, you just go to the Angular docs, and you're able to select which version of Angular you're using, and then it will give you the relevant information that you have to use. While it completes installing, I want to come and show you how you would deal with creating a database on Firestore. I already have one, but I think the best thing should be to use Firebase. You come and you go to this URL, which is console.firebase.google.com, and you start right here. So this would be the home page. If you logged into your Gmail account and you just follow this link, it should bring you here. So you come here and you say create project, and you give your project a name. I'll just call mine Jokoto. Continue. Okay, so now that it's done, you click continue, and you're going to come to build, and you come to Firestore database, right? Okay. And now we're going to create a database. So you can here create database, creating a sample project, and here you need to start in test mode so that it will allow you to read and write, right? So go ahead and create that database. Okay, so in Firebase, or in Firestore, data is arranged different from how it was arranged in our normal file, right? Data is stored in the form of collections, and so let's create our first collection, call it jobs, and so here you're going to give values. So these are like objects for each job. I mean, like what we had here, right? So like this particular object will have an ID and the value. So let me actually show you. So now the ID, you can just auto-generate it, and the field, we have title, it is a string, and the value, let's just get similar values here, and then put this here. Okay, so let's use these same values. Start connection, jobs, the ID auto-generated. So the first one is the title, it's a string, and the value you can give it. So let's use different figures, mean values, so that you'll get to know that actually the data is coming from the cloud. And then the next field will be the company. And let's call this Amazon. Then the description. And this, let's just copy the same thing so that we don't waste a lot of time. Right, so now that is one. So we'll save that. And now what we can do is add more documents. So the title, maybe AI. Oh, sorry, this is the title field. This is AI company, Google. The description, just the same thing. Save that. So these are two. I think let's just add the next one. So the title. And the company. Description. Okay, so we have our three values. And now if we go back to Firestore, you want to come to project overview, click here and go to project settings. And once here, you come and choose web, right? And the application name. So what did we call our application? I think it was Grow. Now we don't want hosting, so let's register our app. Okay, so now we have this data. So as you can see, it contains your API key and so what you want to do is to copy this object value and it's actually here still, and you come to your application and you're going to go to environments folder and look for the TypeScript. So what you want to do right here is to come like this in the environments folder. Okay, so after that, you have to come back to the app module and import a few packages that we are going to use for Firestore and Firebase. So the first one, we're going to import Angular Fire module. We're going to get it from Angular stroke compat. The next one, is going to be Angular Firestore module. And that one is from Angular Fire compat Firestore. Okay. Yeah, that should be it. So now you'll have to come to our imports and import those modules. So the first one is going to be Angular Fire module. And then you call the initialize app module and you pass the environment, which we'll have to import here too. Environment, okay. So here, I'm going to say environment dot Firebase config. So you remember this was the value that we added in the environments of TS file. And once that is done, you're also going to import Angular Firestore module. So now that we have installed Firestore and imported the necessary modules, it's time to use it to get the data that we've created in Firebase. So to do that, let's inject Firestore. This is Angular Firestore, and so this won't work. So how then do we get our data? So we say, because this returns, return this dot Firestore dot collection, and the collection that we are returning, we call it jobs, right? And we call a method called snapshot changes, and so this method emits an array of actions. Okay, and so let's use pipe. Pipe, we talked about it earlier on, but the use of pipe usually is to, I guess, aggregate functions, different functions, right? Okay, so then now we want to map over the actions emitted actions, and so this call this actions, not $n. And so for each action, we want to map over it, and then we just get iterate. So now we iterate over through each function, and then we get a value. We get what should I call it? So we are going to get values from each function. So that is, the way to get them is to say action payload doc, and then the data, right? And we want to get each data, but get it as a job object, but we also want to get the ID because let me first get it. Payload doc ID. And so we are getting this ID because you remember that in Firebase, data was arranged differently. So, for example, this is let me go back to. So you see, back in our document, our data was arranged differently. So you see here we had an ID, title, description, all in a single object, right? They are all in one object, but here it's different. So the document ID is like a key, and the rest are like values, right? I mean, they're like, yeah, so this is like a key and value. So the ID isn't added in here, right? But what I'm trying to do, so what I'm trying to do is to bring it to this format, right? Because it will be easier to deal with it in this format. I mean, we have already created the entire application, and this is the format that we are working with. So that's what I'm trying to do right here when I do it that way. So now I've gotten the data and I've gotten the ID. So now I want to return an object that has an ID, and I'll use this print operator to add the data. Okay. So let's see. Let's see. Yeah, because ID. So this is status data, right? And we add the right. So this makes more sense. We start with the data and we add the ID, right? Okay, so that is how we get all the jobs, and I think let's do one thing. Let's rerun the application and see if it is working. Our application is working because it is fetching the data that we asked it to save. but this shouldn't work because we are yet to implement how to get a single job. So for that, let's just comment that out. Just commenting it out in case someone needs to compare how we are doing it locally. So for this, I'm going to say return this dot Firestore, and I'm going to get a document because a member would have an ID, and so the document that we are going to get, so it will be job because we are going to this document or collection, and you remember that for each there was an ID, right? So we are going to use backticks and interpolation to get the ID, and the ID refers to this. Then we're going to use value changes to get that particular ID. Let's get rid of value changes. I'm going to do snapshot changes because snapshot changes is a method that we return like actions with much more metadata. So let's use pipe. We are going to do something similar so to what we've done here. So let's map over the actions returned, and what we are going to do is say the data. Let's define. Let's get this payload and get the data. Save it as a data. So that's going to be actions. No, but in this case we are getting an action because we are just fetching a single document, right? So it's jobs and then stroke ID, so it's one. So get the payload and the data, and then now we are going to say that if we have data, so if we are able to get the data, then let's return an object that will contain the data itself. But now we are going to add an ID, and that will be action payload ID, right? If data doesn't exist, then return undefined. Okay, perfect. So we need to why can't you just because I'm thinking just find the ID here, ID, and then here we'll just have an ID. So let's see how that looks like. Okay, perfect. This is perfect. So this is what we want. Okay, so now Firestore is working fine. Everything is working fine, right? So I just want to go back to my jobs, and instead of using I mean, let's see if edit is working here. Yeah, so everything is working fine. Yeah, because the get all method is the same method that we're using in the home page, and also the jobs, the get my jobs. So in the next video, I mean that's all. We are getting the data. In the next video, we are going to implement the create and edit functionality so that when we edit something, it reflects in the database, and also the delete. When we delete it, it's also deleted from the Firestore database. Okay, thanks guys for watching, and yeah, kindly like the video and subscribe if you got any value from this. Thank you.